Jalen Brunson's three opened the scoring and set the tone early. A turnover briefly disrupted the rhythm, but Josh Hart's dunk on the break stretched it to 5-0, the Knicks establishing defensive pressure from the opening minutes of the quarter. Paul Reed's basket gave Detroit its first answer, though New York kept building. Mikal Bridges capped 3 straight possessions to widen the margin to 7 before Cade Cunningham's step-back triple carved it down to 4, signaling the Pistons' intent. Bridges responded with a layup to rebuild the buffer, but Cunningham attacked the rim and converted the and one to cut it to 3. OG Anunoby's driving score pushed the lead back to 5 as both teams traded blows through a physical opening period. Anunoby's emphatic block ignited the home crowd, yet Cunningham remained undeterred. His layup brought Detroit to 3 and lifted his tally to 8 before Hart's finish on the fast break kept the Knicks' lead intact heading deeper into the first. Tobias Harris narrowed it to 1, then Cunningham's 3 flipped the lead to Detroit, the only lead change all period, and Paul Reed's layup extended the run, handing the Pistons a comfortable 4-point cushion as New York's early control evaporated. Jalen Brunson's floater halted the surge momentarily, but Cunningham's third triple drove his total to 14 and the advantage to 6. Mitchell Robinson's dunk off the feed from Diawara sliced the deficit to 4 as New York refused to fold. A frantic sequence of turnovers swung possession twice in seconds. Brunson's steal gave New York life, and Jose Alvarado's layup pulled the Knicks to 1, the Garden crowd rising to its feet. Javonte Green's 3 silenced the arena and restored Detroit's lead to 4. The Pistons refusing to let the rally carry any further. Brunson's fadeaway carried his quarter tally to 9 and trimmed it to 2, but Tolu Smith's dunk sealed a 28-26 Detroit advantage heading into the second.
Ronald Holland opened the second for Detroit, but Jose Alvarado struck back with consecutive scores, his 4 early tallies keeping the Knicks within 2 and matching Detroit's urgency, the gap holding steady as both sides traded blows early. Paul Reed's dunk re-established the cushion at 4, and OG Anunoby's finish in transition halved it right back. Cade Cunningham's mid-range jumper widened it again, neither side conceding an inch through a relentless start to the frame. Ausar Thompson's slam ignited a Detroit surge, and Tobias Harris hammered home another to balloon the advantage. Mitchell Robinson's layup clawed it back, the interior battle growing fierce as both benches rotated fresh bodies into the action. Tolu Smith's putback carried the Pistons' inside total to 10, though Jalen Brunson's pull-up narrowed the lead. Tobias Harris buried a triple to cap his 5th of the quarter, the deficit swelling to 6 and stalling a brief Knicks run in its tracks. Mikal Bridges' fadeaway gave New York a spark, but Cunningham's driving layup lifted his tally to 4 and rebuilt a 5-point cushion. Josh Hart's bucket drew the Knicks closer, though Detroit's composure never wavered under the mounting pressure. Cunningham's 6th stretched the margin back to 5, but Karl-Anthony Towns' putback sliced it to 3, the inside duel intensifying with halftime approaching. Cunningham's 10th capped a dominant individual stretch, then Duncan Robinson's 3 and Ausar Thompson's fast break layup sealed a devastating closing run, Detroit surging to a 48-58 halftime advantage with all the momentum heading into the locker room.
Detroit's double-digit cushion held firm early. Ausar Thompson's layup maintained the 12-point edge before Josh Hart trimmed it to 10. Then Paul Reed's jumper widened the gap right back, neither side gaining ground through a tense opening exchange. Karl-Anthony Towns ignited the Knicks' response with a 3 that sliced the deficit to 7. His dunk slashed it to 4, then his putback capped 3 straight possessions, pulling New York within 2 and bringing the Garden crowd roaring to life. Duncan Robinson's transition 3 stretched it back to 5. His second triple in under a minute inflated the cushion by 8 before Jalen Brunson's step back halved it, the Knicks refusing to let Detroit pull away despite the perimeter onslaught. Tobias Harris drove the margin back up for 2 straight Detroit possessions. Brunson's 3 tightened it sharply, but Cade Cunningham answered immediately to rebuild the buffer, the Pistons stifling every hint of a rally through the middle of the frame. Brunson's fadeaway cut it to 6, but Cunningham responded with a finish at the rim and a pull-up on successive possessions, his 7-point quarter total pushing the advantage to double digits and silencing a desperate crowd hungry for any momentum.
Brunson's jumper shaved it by 2, yet Cunningham remained relentless. A thunderous dunk and a pull-up on back-to-back possessions extended the lead to 11, the Knicks unable to mount any run against Detroit's ruthless execution throughout the period. Landry Shamet's 3 briefly chopped it to 8, but Ronald Holland II's triple immediately restored the 11-point edge. Holland's driving score then ballooned it to 13, capping consecutive baskets that extinguished any remaining New York hope. Mikal Bridges' fadeaway halted the bleeding in 11, but Caris LeVert's reverse finish sealed Detroit's grip, the Pistons carrying a 79-90 lead into the fourth.
Karl-Anthony Towns' finger roll opened the fourth, but Detroit answered in devastating fashion. Paul Reed's layup stretched the margin to 12, and Caris LeVert's 3 ballooned it to 16, the Pistons seizing command with 3 straight scores. Josh Hart's driving layup briefly stemmed the tide, though Reed's reverse finish restored the cushion. Jeremy Sochan's dunk trimmed 2 off, the Knicks clawing for any foothold as Detroit's interior attack continued to dominate inside the paint. LeVert's second triple pushed his total to 6 and the gap to 17. Then Dennis Jenkins' tip-in inflated it to 19. Landry Shamet's 3 from deep clawed it back, but the Knicks remained buried under a relentless Detroit offensive barrage. Javonte Green's dunk on the break drove the lead to 18. Jalen Brunson's floater narrowed it by 1, but Cade Cunningham's touch at the rim closed the distance right back, the Pistons refusing to yield despite New York's persistence. Brunson ignited a Knicks surge with consecutive baskets that raised his tally to 6. Shamet's finish in transition completed a 3-possession run, slashing it to a dozen and forcing a timeout as the Garden sensed an opening for the first time all half. Cunningham's step-back 3 halted the run cold. Jenkins' alley-oop extended the advantage before Shamet's second triple dragged it back, the 2 sides trading haymakers through a frantic and bruising closing stretch deep in the fourth. Cunningham's layup swelled it once again, but Towns' driving score in the ensuing free throw carved the edge to 15. Jenkins' finish gave him 8 for the period and erected a formidable wall. Every Knicks counterpunch met with a swift Detroit answer. OG Anunoby's 3 sliced the deficit sharply, then Brunson's triple brought his quarter tally to 9 and it suddenly to 11. Reed's cutting layup kept Detroit comfortably ahead at 13, snuffing out the Knicks' last realistic hope of a comeback. Towns' putback offered one last gasp, but Asar Thompson's transition layup sealed it, Detroit claiming a 126-111 victory behind Cunningham's 42-point masterclass.